Hey guys, check out this clip from the Dr. Cliff Show where we're talking about hearing aid directionality. Let me know what you think.
So directionality really was introduced once we started having multiple microphones on the hearing aids themselves. Once we had multiple microphones on the hearing aids, we were able to start doing some calculations or basically telling the microphones on these hearing aids, hey, we'd actually like you to follow a pattern. So instead of this 360 microphone, like a lot of microphones that you talk into if you're giving a presentation, they're kind of picking up sound from any which direction, and especially the sound that's coming closest to the microphone. But when we start involving multiple microphones, we can start really calculating a sort of a pattern or a plot to where the microphones are going to be most specific and where they're going to be concentrating on. And so we're at the point now with these digital hearing aids that the hearing aid itself will automatically start kind of changing that pattern or plot depending on the amount of noise that it's recognizing in that environment. But we can also go in and create manual programs that allow for hyperdirectionality, or what we call beam forming. So really this idea that the microphones are only going directly in front of you and they're following your head wherever your head is moving. And that's fantastic, because if we can tell the microphones, hey, don't give too much attention to the right side, don't give too much attention to the left side, and try to ignore the back as much as possible. I want to hear the person in front of me. With these directional microphones, we now have that ability.
Yeah, and if you use directional microphones appropriately, they can give you a significant improvement in signal-to-noise ratio, which improves intelligibility, which is really what everybody's going for in background noise. Maybe not everybody. Some people want the noisy environments to be comfortable, and that's what noise reduction is good for. And other people want to have the highest amount of intelligibility possible, and that's what directionality is really good for. So one of the things that we need to focus on to make directionality work the best it possibly can is the way that we couple a hearing aid to the ear canal. Now, we talked a little bit before about using an open fit dome on the tip of a receiver inside of someone's ear canal, and that's great because it gives them more of like a natural feel if they have good low frequency hearing. And the feedback cancellation technology that we have now allows us to take some of the leaking sound and cancel it out, so it's not a problem for them.
Right.
But this negatively impacts directionality. So what are some of the other options that we have to make sure that directionality works really well with the technological advancements that we have nowadays?
So one of the ways that we can take advantage of directionality still with these receiver and canal devices, we're going to have to look at really the coupling that we have on the end of the hearing aid that's in the ear canal. When we've got this open fit, like you just said, there's a lot of advantages to an open fit device, but one of the disadvantages of that is that we can only control the sound that's coming in through the hearing aid microphone and making its way into the speaker. When we have an open fit device, there's still a certain amount of sound that's going to naturally enter the ear canal without being digitally processed at all, and there is the potential that that sound is interfering with the sound from the hearing aid itself and making it to where background noise situations can still remain relatively difficult. So we're to the point where we need to figure out, okay, how can we eliminate this sound from the outside that is leaking in, or sneaking in rather, and to try to give you the cleanest, clearest signal in these background noise environments. And the best way that we can do that is to try to close off the ear canal a little bit. If you're in a non-custom rubber dome, moving from an open dome to something like a vented dome, which isn't fully blocking off the ear canal, but it's blocking it off a little bit more, that can definitely be helpful. But I definitely think that the best way to do this is really with the use of a custom ear mold. Custom ear molds are fantastic because not only are they a perfect fit for your own ear canal, but we can actually go in and customize the venting in that ear mold to tell the hearing aid itself exactly how much sound to let in naturally, how much sound to process through the microphones, and we really have a lot of control over that sound experience using those custom ear molds.
Absolutely. And I think I recently took someone from a dome into a custom ear mold, and their hearing aid programming had been maxed out on all of the digital features, all of the noise reduction just wasn't comfortable, switched them into a custom ear mold, and actually had to pull all of those features down because it was having those other negative effects where, speech was not as clear and all of those things. But, the vast difference of being able to have such deliberate control over what is coming into the ear canal really does make the programming often a lot easier. And again, way more successful in those background noise environments if background noise was not solved just by, treating the hearing loss loss with that open dome, or even, you know, a more closed off dome. But that's the thing, that even with those vented domes, or even heck, a power dome, it still lets in a certain amount of sound that we don't have any control over. We don't have no way to measure.
Yeah, and there's been research done on different generic domes on different people, and even the manufacturers have no clue how that dome is going to act inside of someone's ear canal. That's why all of this stuff has to be measured. One thing that I love to do when we're doing programming of hearing aids is running a feedback manager, and that will tell us how much leakage of sound is actually happening. Is it going to prevent us from hitting certain prescriptive targets? Is it too occluding to where it would be bad for someone with good low frequency hearing? But, you know, there are manufacturers now that are using features like acoustically optimized vents, where it will literally take your hearing loss and then the characteristics of your ear canal size and shape, and they will custom build a very specific vent that will accommodate exactly for that person's hearing loss. And I think that's probably one of the greatest technological inventions that allows us to get the most out of an actual hearing aid.
Absolutely. And again, just like with every other feature, you know, some manufacturers do some of this better than others, and I think we all have our opinions on what those are, but every manufacturer is doing this at this point. You know, they're taking the best of their knowledge about how their own technology works and the size and shape of each person's ear canal, and doing it and trying to give everybody the best hearing experience absolutely possible. And I think that in and of itself is just an incredible mindset to be having as a company in general.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, closing off the ear canal though, that is not perfect either.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you were saying. So there are manufacturers who have created this own voice processing where it will actually measure how your voice sounds, and anytime that you talk, it will reduce amplification to your own voice, so it isn't as bothersome. Because a lot of people, when they get hearing aids initially, they have this perception like, boy, my voice is also louder. Even though I can hear you really well, I feel like I'm too loud.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that you could do that is you could open up the vent. Well, if that destroys the other features of the hearing aid, that's not a good decision to make. So, you know, the manufacturers are always trying to figure out ways to overcome the negatives that come along with a lot of the positives from the technology that we use. All right, guys, if you want to check out the full episode, I will have it linked in the description.